So I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee meeting together, 5:30 this evening. Our agenda is to review the proposal number 18-2020, amending Title I, Article 2, Chapter 8 of the Lawrence Municipal Code with respect to the police and fire personnel vehicle usage. I would like to ask Deputy Curtis Bigsby to go ahead and give us an overview of your request.
Okay. Yeah, so this ordinance in particular, just at the last council meeting, you approved the 50-mile radius for the residency requirements. And so while we were looking at that residency requirement, we wanted to allow the officers as an added benefit to have their personal commission being able to be used statewide. There's a lot of different things that go into it. One of them is for retention of a lot of our officers. We have a lot of departments such as Westfield, Fishers, Carmel, Noblesville, Beech Grove, and other agencies that allow their officers to utilize their vehicles statewide. So we're up against that when we're trying to hire, police officers to the police department. And so we were looking at that as an added benefit. Some of the other things that they have that we don't have, which we're not, wanting to, I guess, have changed is they have the ability to do lateral transfers, meaning that they can request for officers from other departments to come over as an incentive to get higher pay to do that, in which we don't do that because we're under state model merit system, meaning that we go through a strict process through our merit commission, through rules and guidelines and regulations on how we hire police officers to the police department. So this is more of just trying to be in line of trying to recruit additional people to the department as an added incentive for them to come here. With the 50-mile radius, when I looked at and plotted it on a map from the police department, officers will be able to have a residency requirement that allows them to live almost to Greensburg, Indiana, all the way over to almost Brazil, Indiana. And as you can see, that's only within a few miles even from the state lines on both the east and west side of the state of Indiana. When you go as far as south, officers can live all the way down near Seymour, Indiana, and all the way far as north as Marion, Indiana. So it's not like there's a lot of mileage difference between the two of where they reside and what we're trying to get with the added benefit of the retention and recruitment of additional police officers here with the City of Lawrence Police Department.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I would like to now open the floors for any questions that we have. I do want to acknowledge who's on the line with us tonight. So in the Public Safety Committee, you have Councilor Lauren Russell, you have Councilor Tom Shevlock, myself, Councilor Deb Whitfield. We have Councilor Tyrell Giles joining us. We have on the line Chief Hoffman, Deputy Chief Curtis Bigsby, and Officer Tracy Cantrell. And then Chris Wheeler as our legal. And Kathy Sinden.
And if you don't mind, I just want to express our appreciation. I know I've spoken with every last on this particular ordinance to see if you guys had any additional questions. And there was a lot of good insight with some of the questions that I had received, and hopefully I was able to answer those. Yeah, I'm open for any discussion or any questions that you might have pertaining to this actual proposal.
Great.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor Shevlock.
I want to make sure you're opening this up for questions.
Yes, I am opening up for questions.
Just a couple. I've got one question, but first, before I want to thank Curtis for calling us ahead of time on things like this, because sometimes that's not the case where we get things at the last minute. So I appreciate the work that he put into calling everybody to explain what we were looking at before our committee meeting. and it gave me some opportunity to ask him some questions. And the one question that I did ask him was, with this change, it's obviously going to be a little bit of an added expense, and whether or not this was reviewed with the controller to make sure that whatever possible increase in expense, whether it's fuel, wear and tear on the cars, et cetera, will our budget be able to accommodate this change?
Yeah, so with a lot of the wear and tear vehicle, most of our wear and tear comes actually from your inner city going from run to run versus you just utilizing it to go, on the interstate for regular travel. So there's really minimal impact to the vehicle maintenance and or wear and tear on the vehicles. When it comes to fuel, the officers already pay into. I believe it could have been about 10 years, and Tracy or Chief, you can correct me. It's been about 10 years ago when we implemented the fuel surcharge when gas went up above a certain threshold, like $3 a gallon, and then officers were taking that out of their paycheck, twice a month for that actual fuel surcharge. And it was supposed to have been taken away if it was reduced below, if the economic value of the gas was below the $2.50 threshold. I believe it was supposed to have been taken away. However, the officers continued to pay into that with no argument that I know of. Still continue to pay that fuel surcharge that was given back to the city to offset some of those expenses as it related to fuel usage of their commissions.
All right, thank you.
That started back in 2007.
So a clarifying question, Officer Bigsby. So are you saying you do not think that there'll be any significant increase in the budget for wear and tear on the vehicles?
No, we do not see that at all. No, and matter of fact, the good thing about this is just as it being an added benefit, we would probably not see many officers utilizing that. It's just a perk for them to have that. There's a lot of different parameters within the general orders, policies, and procedures that we have. For instance, if they're driving on 65 South going wherever to Evansville or somewhere, and they come upon a vehicle where there's an accident, according to policy, they have to stop and render assistance if they're in a marked police vehicle. So most officers, might end up saying, well, I'm going to drive my personal vehicle so I don't have to stop and do all of that. Although 99.9%, even if we are in our private owned vehicles, we will stop and render assistance no matter what. But that's within our own policy that's what they're required to do. So there's still a lot of oversight. So if an officer gets in an accident or anything like that, there's still a lot of oversight, not only through our regular accident review board, it also goes it also still has civilian oversight through our Board of Works and through the Merit Commission. So we don't see any issues with that per se, or if, people might say, hey, they might speed or something like that down 65 or 465 or what have you, wherever they're headed to. With the body worn cameras, we also have GPS in all of our, in most of our commissions. And if that were to come up, we'll handle that with a case-by-case basis.
Do you have any data in regards to how this has helped other police departments if with recruiting or retention?
I don't have any specific data. It's just mainly word of mouth through most agencies, with other officers speaking, how they, see the other added benefit with, some of the other agencies that offer it. Like I was just saying, like with Carmel, Fishers, and Westfield. And that's what we believe. They have those different benefits put in there so they have a better way of recruiting their officers and also retaining officers within their departments.
Madam Chair, I do have a quick statement with that, if this is okay. So one reason that when Officer Bigsby contacted me to discuss this, which thank you again for doing that, that really does help kind of getting that ahead of time. I can relate to this personally with my father, who is a retired IMPD officer. And when he moved to Fishers, he had to park his car at a fire station and then leave his personal car and then drive that to his house. And so you're taking care of 2 cars. And a lot of times that is a hassle because, like, especially in the wintertime, you have 2 cars that are frozen in the morning. There's late, you have to accommodate for that timing. It is kind of nice to have your vehicle at home, because then you can also, you're on your own property. You can watch it. You can just take it straight into work. It is an added feature to these men and women who want to come in and, for recruitment. And I can understand when you explain that to me. It definitely was able to make that personal connection. Just because I remember that being a hassle, and how many times, like, he had to dig himself out of his home with snow and then dig himself out of the fire station because he was in the back part. You couldn't be parked. It was kind of in this tucked part because that was on a city property, because you couldn't cross the border in your vehicle. So hopefully that can offer some help, just as to, like, at least when this was explained to me. That's definitely one reason why I was able to relate to it and want to definitely support this for the men and women who are, representing our city. And I think it is an added bonus just to be able to take your vehicle home, because it's just one less thing you have to worry about.
Do we have any other questions? I would like to add that Councilor Freeman has joined us, which is part of the Public Safety Committee. So we are full members here now. Do we have any other questions? I'm asking all the questions. I apologize for that. I do want to ask the question in regards to the, what about the cars for the fire chief, Public Works, and others that are in the Section 3? Some clarification as to their cars being available for them to take it home too?
I believe they already have that where they have the ability to take their vehicles home. The fire department, as well as, I believe, other identified agencies outside of the police department, but their particular internal policy, I don't have the actual answer for that.
I spoke to Chief Batalis, who couldn't be here tonight due to a conflict, and he asked me to speak on his behalf in the event that a question regarding the fire department came up. He and 4 other command staff members of the fire department do have take-home vehicles, and as far as the statewide usage, he believes that the impact would be minimal on his budget, and he thinks while it would be a nice benefit for his command staff members, he just doesn't see it being actually that much utilized for statewide usage. And he just, for the fire side, he just doesn't see it being really a factor into his budget or their operations whatsoever. So that's what he wanted me to pass along. And from the police side, I agree with him. His speculation is going to be right on the money. They just don't drive their vehicles as much as police officers do. And I think it'll be a nice perk for law enforcement, and it may come in handy for the fire side, but just not all that often, to be honest. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Would this apply as well, and maybe this is in there, I just didn't see anything mentioning about the reserve vehicles. This would also apply to the reserve officers as well? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. We have a couple of counselors listening, and I would like to give them an opportunity if they do have questions. I think I can do that. I would like to open the floor to them. We have Counselor Giles on the line and Counselor Denny. Thank you for joining and listening, but I would like to offer you the opportunity if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield, Council Wilk, for opening the floor there. I don't have any questions. There was a few I did have, but I think you covered them all tonight. I'm just excited for this and happy that to speak with Officer Bigsby beforehand, Chief Bigsby, regarding this. So, but just wanted to listen to what the committee was discussing, and I think you hit on every topic I was thinking of as well.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Councilor Giles. Hi, I was just the same or more with Sean, was just listening in. Thank you for acknowledging us, but I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess that all of our questions have been answered. So I'm going to open the floor for a motion from the Safety Committee. Do we have one?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
So the motion is made to make a recommendation to full council to approve proposal ordinance number 18/2020. It has been moved and second. Let's do a roll call vote. Kathy, did you get that so far? Okay. Let's do a roll call vote of the subcommittee. Councilor Shevlak,
Yes.
Councilor Russell,
Yes.
Councilor Freeman,
Yes.
Councilor Whitfield, yes. Motion has been moved and carried unanimously. Thank you so much. We will make the recommendation at our full council meeting this evening at 6:30. Thank you so much.
And we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Are we adjourned?
Yes, we're adjourned.
Okay.
We're adjourned.